Oh yeah, sign her up.
I'm not sitting up on nobody. I need to be a
Hey, I'm trying to be the first one to have a female on my staff, man. So if you know anybody, come on.
Let me shoot that to come good one.
So, a question that Bunny likes to also ask a lot, which she got that, I guess, from me as well, is the recruitment process. So, you was an all conference guy, there was a buzz. Tell us about the recruitment, and then what college did you decide to go to?
So back in the day, like the St. Louis area is completely different now. We've changed the game in a way that they now have exposure in this area. And so we have kids, man, like back in the day, Alabama was never coming to St. Louis. Ohio State, never coming to St. Louis. And so we've changed the game with the way that we've, with the development, the elite academies, the flight, the 7-on-7 teams, all of those things have changed the game for our kids, on top of us being visible in social media. And so once it became about social media, now Saban can see a kid in St. Louis without leaving his house. We didn't have social media. And so our recruiting process was like, you better hope that you got a dude on your team that's cold, and that when they come to see that guy, you show out and you might get a chance. So on our team, we ended up having 3 guys that made it to the NFL off our team. One of those guys, everybody knows, Jeremy Macklin, current head coach at Kirkwood High School, played in Mizzou, was an All-American at Mizzou, played in the league, was a first-round draft pick. Jeremy Macklin didn't have some of the offers that some of the kids have here. And Jeremy Macklin, one of the greatest players to ever play here. Like, his numbers were incredible when he played here. And so even he had less exposure. He ended up going to Mizzou. He committed to Oklahoma before that, then went to Mizzou. At that time, if you had Oklahoma and Mizzou on you, that was like, man, you was crazy. Like, you had to be a whole nother level of an athlete.
Oh, wow.
Okay? And so he ended up going and playing. We had another guy that went to the NFL that ended up playing in Murray State, Marcus Harris. He ended up getting a chance in the league, played for the Giants for a year or two, ended up getting hurt. And, he played probably 2 or 3 years in the league. But he played in Murray State, and he's an NFL-level talent. If Marcus Harris was playing right now, he would have got an opportunity to go somewhere larger because he was that talented. But your exposure was not the same. And so for me, my recruiting process literally came down to me going in and me creating my own tape, because our coaches didn't do that stuff for us. And we didn't have Huddle, which we have now, where film is accessible to everybody. We could just send it off to a coach whenever they request it. We could post it online and they could watch it. Back then, you had to go and get a VHS and have 2 VCRs and hook them together. Right. And you had to record, and it was staticky. And then you had to put it into this special envelope and send it and mail it off and hope that they got it.
Yep.
And that's what our recruiting was. And so, I ended up, luckily there's a guy, Coach Welty. Actually, a lot of our successful coaches in the state of Missouri played for Coach Welty at Westminster College, a little small college down in Fulton, Missouri. And what Coach Welty did was he came up and he made me feel like I was Jeremy Macklin. He made me feel like I was that guy. He told me, you come to this school, you're going to play right away, and you'll be one of the best players to ever play at our school. And so when he told me that, man, that was everything I needed. I had been sending film off. I thought I was going to play in Florida. Like that, as a kid, in your mind, man, you think that you so much more than what you were. You know what I'm saying? And so I thought I was going to get to play in Florida. And I'm 5'7", 160. You go and look at Florida's roster, and that's what I ended up doing. I started looking at rosters. I started looking at sizes. I'm like, man, I can't play at these places. They're not recruiting people that's my size. And so I took advantage of Coach coming in and wanting me. He wanted me there. And I ended up going to Westminster College, and I played right away. And I was all conference, defensive back my first year. I was the newcomer of the year in the league. And, I enjoyed myself. What's crazy is Macklin would hit me up and he'd be like, hey, bro, I'm at Mizzou. I'm telling you, I played with you. You can play here. And for me, I had always listened to everybody else saying that I was too small to play. And that's one of the only regrets in my entire life I probably have is not going whenever he made that call to me, not going and seeing and finding out myself. And so for me now with our kids, when I'm talking to them about the process and maybe they're a little bit undersized or whatever, but they feel a certain way about themselves, I always push them towards trying to do your dream and figure out if you're really that. And go for it so you don't regret it. And even if it falls through, I'm gonna help you out and we're gonna get you somewhere else, but go for your dream and go and take that opportunity. But yeah, our exposure wasn't the same here, man. We had a lot of good players that didn't go places where they should have went. And obviously we sent some guys, to some other places, but places like Alabama and LSU and all, like, man, they wasn't even thinking about St. Louis back then. So I had a good career at Westminster College, and I learned how to, coach from Coach Welty. He instilled a lot of things in me that, I now use as a coach, and just the way he approached preparation and how he made his players feel. So I'm thankful for the opportunity of playing down there, even though it cost a lot.
And now that you're on the other end, in which, like you said before, the recruiting process has changed, social media and everything, and now you're able, as a coach, to meet these big-time coaches, especially during your time at Lutheran North. I'm pretty sure you may have had maybe the Sabins and other big-name coaches. Has there been that coach that you met that you was like, wow, this is crazy, I'm straight meeting this guy, he's here at my school or whatever? Have you experienced that? And how is that conversation talking to big-time coaches in college?
So the craziest thing, man, was we had an opportunity to go down to Alabama. And, man, when Nick Saban walked into the room, it's just it's different. It's a different aura. And then he came over and he's actually talking to you. Hey, how's it going? You shake his hand and you like, man, this is the guy. Like, this is him. But everybody feel it. When he walk into the room, his own coaches feel his presence coming into the room. And it's incredible. It's surreal, But being at Lutheran North, man, you get to a point where you realize that they guys just like you.
Yeah.
They had the same processes just like you, and you become accustomed to, just being real with them, and you realize that, they're men that do the same things that you do, and it's cool that they, you see them doing it at a high level, but at the same time, what would you be able to do if that's what you did all the time? If it was just up to you to just do football, to just go out and recruit, to just, spend your whole day doing football, you would be phenomenal as well. And so, yeah, outside of Nick Saban, there hasn't been too many coaches that I met that I was just like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. But Nick Saban walking into the room is a different feel. Another guy, PJ Fleck, when he walks into a room, the energy is completely different. And so those two guys are probably the two that I've been able to meet that were just like, man, this guy is different. He got like an aura around him. And so I aspire to be that type of, coach eventually, try and get to that point to where I walk in the room and people are like, man, look who's here,
And just based off this interview we had, you come off that way to me. Like when you enter the room, you command a presence without saying anything. Right. I don't even know you like that kind of stuff. But just this interview and how it started off, it's like,
I appreciate
get
that.
Everybody's attention right away. Like, oh, and they playing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like I said, I aspire to just, I want to be legendary, man. I want a legacy that my daughters can come and walk into a place and they be good just because I was there before.
That's my daddy. He did that.
Yeah, straight up.
A couple
and carry
comments.
that name Wagner with pride, baby. You know what I'm saying? You a Wagner all year. You good.
Yeah, you good. You solid.
A
Straight
couple
up.
comments here from earlier. Jamie Mueller says #different breed. Someone with the hashtag
Yes,
had money bag on her, a money bag emoji. Then Jamie also says you'll be, when you was talking about how Coach Reed would be too busy trying to answer the phone and the whole nine, Jamie was saying you'll be too busy winning. So there we go, right there.
I love it.
There we go.
I love it.
Bringing in something fresh, but also something that people should know about because you was there in the past at Lutheran North. So in regards to, let's talk about in regards to coaching. You pretty much told us earlier what led you into coaching, and then how it's about, of course, championships. You as a offensive coordinator for Lutheran North, I take it that was your first time experiencing a championship. Is that correct?
I won as a player and semi-pro.
Okay, but just in regards to being
and
in
I had
coaching
coached.
ranks.
Yeah, that was the first time we got it done. I had been in 5 straight semifinals or state championship games. And so I lost 4 times in a row, either in the state championship or the semifinals before getting it done.
So tell us about that experience, realizing that you were finally about to be a actual champion as a coach.
I told Reed, man, it was really his moment for me. Like, I still need to do it again because that was a moment for me to repay him for believing in me as a 24-year-old young man coming into the game. And so whenever I went through that, you know, that process, went through that game and that game finished, man, I just went to him and I said, hey, man, we did it. We did it. We got it done finally. You got to think, we have been through heartbreak. The 2 years before that, 1 year we lost 7-6 with some kids that we had been with since they were 8, 9 years old. They were our ball boy, you know, and we fell short 7-6. And it came down to the smallest of details. And so then the next year we come back and we try to correct them small details, and then we lose sight of what really got us to that point. We start focusing on talent and X's and O's and all of that, and we didn't do the extra work with building the relationships with our kids the way we should have. And then we fall short again. Then you finally get there and you got the team, and we sit there and we say, man, I told Reed, because I was actually defensive coordinator when we fell short those 2 times. And so going into that 3rd season, I said, hey, bro, trust me to call the offense. Let's get a guy in here to call the defense. You focus on the culture part of what we do within the building. And so, like a lot of people say, it's 3 phases to the game. You got your offense, defense, and special teams. I believe it's 4 phases. The 4th phase is that character building, that culture piece. And he focused on that. So he became our character coordinator. He was the guy that took care of all of that stuff. I called the offense, another guy called the defense. And that year, every single issue we had, we addressed it in the moment. We made corrections. We checked each other. We had spats. We did everything we had to do to just win, and there was no egos. Our players, we held them accountable. We had a kid that ended up going to Texas A&M who's down there now, Antonio Doyle. That's going to be the next guy that makes it to the NFL from our camp. Antonio Doyle, we got to a point that we kicked him out of practice, and he's a future NFL guy. We kicked him out of practice. We held everybody accountable to the standard all the time, and that's how we got it done. It wasn't about our talent, and we had talent, but it was about us having kids that genuinely cared about each other and us having coaches that genuinely cared about kids. And so, through that journey, man, I learned that to win championships, it wasn't just about acquiring talent, but it was about getting those guys to genuinely care about each other, and you can get it done. And I know because I failed 4 times. 4 times in a row, I failed, and we finally got it done. And the only difference with that team is that they had guys that cared. They had guys that had character. We had no grade issues with the seniors. They took care of their business. So once you finally get there, the crazy thing is you win it, and all you want to do is you want to win it again. Like there's no that satisfaction don't happen that you thought was going to happen. You excited because you put the work in, but then you just start thinking about how you going to go and do it again. And so I'm at the point in my career where I just want to continue to get it done, and every team is a new team, and it's cool going through that process, man, and having the ups and the downs and then having it pay off or going back to the drawing board.
So before we continue, we do have I do have some breaking news. New York Yankees pitcher Corey Kluber just threw a no-hitter. So we had one last night.
Another one.
So we had one last night from a Detroit Tigers pitcher, and tonight Corey Kluber. So it shows where baseball is heading, that no one can hit anymore. So another day, another no-hitter. It's pretty crazy. And I'm sorry, you were saying something? Oh, okay, my bad, cause I thought you were saying something. So yeah, so continue on the platform Sports Talk Show.
It's crazy though.
Yeah, it is. What are your thoughts overall now in the state of high school football in Mizzou? Do you think that it's had a great place now, especially with these moves that just happened over this last week and a half or so?
Absolutely. We get to see Carl Reed versus Scott Pingle. CBC versus DeSmet is going to be a huge game. Everybody talks about Carl Reed's ability to recruit and get guys to college and all of that and have talented teams. Everybody talks about Scott Pingle's ability to coach X's and O's, and you got a bunch of guys telling Reed that he better tighten that belt up and be ready to go when they play against them because of the X's and O's, acumen of Scott Pingle. And so Reed has an opportunity to go in the game and show how well he can coach. Since he was at Lutheran North, he had been trying to call out a lot of these large school teams. Yep. And they wouldn't play because they felt like it was nothing they could gain from it. Well, now they got to see them. Now they actually got to play them. They don't have a choice.
Here you come.
So it'll be cool to see that play out. Week 2, we see DeSmet versus East St. Louis.
Yes.
Carl Reed versus Sunkett. That game is going to be crazy. That's going to be huge. Lutheran North, and we're actually playing Peoria before that game. So it's gonna be cool for us to go and play our game and then be able to go and watch that. 2 of the Titans going at it. And then you got teams like East St. Louis scheduling IMG Academy,
I saw
St.
that.
John Bosco, these huge programs. It's never been a better time to be a football coach or a football player than it is right now in St. Louis.
And speaking
we're
of
gonna be in a national spotlight, and then the local games are huge.
And I was gonna say that game with East St. Louis and DeSmet, that should be like on ESPN or something. Shoot.
Oh, hey, I tell you what, I have my popcorn ready. We'll finish our game. Hopefully, I'm feeling good
right.
as I sit down and watch that one. But I will be in attendance for that.
Yeah, that game should
so let
be
me ask
amazing.
you this, since we're talking about the good St. Louis matchups, and you coming from Sikeston. So I'm not too familiar with these smaller towns, and let alone, and not in the boot here, but an hour or 2 away from. So how do they get attention in the recruiting compared to, St. Louis or even Kansas City being the big 2 cities in Missouri? How small towns get attention?
football recruiting in Sikeston right now was non-existent, I would say. It was very rare that any kid was gonna get out of that area. They have a kid right now that I actually helped out that he's gonna be going to Millikan University. He just, decided that today, and the coach reached out to me and thanked me. But that kid is a Division I player, and he's going to end up playing at a lower level just because nobody knows who he is from the exposure standpoint. Kid 6'2", 215. You cut on his film, the first play, he jumping over somebody. The next play, he coming and he hitting somebody on the other side of the ball. And he doesn't have any exposure, though, so nobody even knows who he is or where that he exists. Compared to St. Louis, you talking about if we on a number scale, St. Louis at a 10 and Sikeston at a 0. The only way it's gonna change is for them to get coaches down in that area that are active in social media. Social media is a key part of recruiting right now. They're gonna have to get coaches that look like us, which for them is still a stretch.
Right.
It's still a stretch. And until you get that, the exposure is going to be low. Now, I did my part, and I had a couple of kids come up on my name to be in a combine, a 6-star combine this past Sunday. And so some of those kids will start to get some exposure. And I was sending out the Sikeston, prospects list. But I was only there for, a month. Really where I knew who the kids were and all of that. And even in that month, I was able to get a kid that had been there for 4 years with no type of looks or nothing into college, And so really it just comes down to having somebody in place that's going to do the work and put those kids out.
Now, in regards to being noticed at Sikeston, is it because of just the area or is it lack of resource? I know you said earlier having a coach like yourself, bringing social media presence the whole nine, but is it still maybe just lack of resources out there in Sikeston?
The support that you have in Sikeston is incredible. It's incredible. There is not many places in St. Louis that has the support that they have down in that area, from parents to the budget that you have just as a program. The support is incredible. So it's more so, like I said, it's the exposure that they're missing. It's the coaches being willing to go and do the work. And really down there, one of the issues that, I was going to try and address at Sikeston was just getting the black kids to come out and play. Like, they're not playing football there. They're just playing basketball on the basketball team.
But it's only so many spots for basketball. So it's playing more spots on football even. I mean, they got JV and varsity, right?
Yeah, but for them, it's about the relationships. Like, if I have a staff full of guys that don't look like me, that don't, like, think about this, and this is something that a friend of mine posted to me. They said, anytime you take a job in a town like that, I want you to look and see how many black quarterbacks they've had, and that'll let you know what they think about the black athletes. And so in that area, like, if you look at how many black quarterbacks have been at that school, then you'll be like, oh, okay, that this is an issue. And so the kids, they know that. Like, kids not stupid. They don't just do what you told them to do no more.
Right.
And so those kids, man, they know if they want it or not within the program, or how they're gonna be treated, or if they're gonna be mistreated. And so, like I said, they're gonna have to get representation, and they ended up getting a guy that they put in a space that looks like us, and I think that he'll do a magnificent job in getting those kids out. And then it's on him to build his social media following and start putting those kids out and doing the work, because it's a lot of extra work when you do that. And everybody not built, like when I say different breed, like everybody not built to stay on that social media and do all of that. They don't even, some people don't even have the lifestyle or the wife or the kids to be able to do what we do. Your wife got to be understanding of that, and so it takes a different breed to be really pushing kids the way you should be pushing kids. And so for me, I'm willing to do that. That's what I do all the time. And my wife, she understands that and she supports that, but everybody don't have time to do that. And the kids are the ones that are costed. And in order for Sikeston to change as far as exposure, you're going to need somebody to go in and push the envelope on that stuff and get these kids to these camps.
Need to come in and like do some Mr. Clark type stuff, like on Lean On Me.
I know.
Seriously.
Yeah. Or have them coaches or there's a football clinic. Not just dealing with tryouts of the football season in the springtime or something. Do the football clinic to get the middle school kids involved, to build your pipeline up. I mean,
well, and it's the thing. The new coach Pulley, he started that. He started this youth empowerment where the high school kids are actually coaching the little league kids up until they're in fourth grade, and then once they hit fourth grade, they start playing within the middle school program. Okay, and once they're in the middle school program, what's been happening is the black kids will play all the way up until high school. And then the basketball team will get like 80 kids to try out. And then the football team ends up not having, many of the athletes even come out for football that have been playing for so long. And it really just goes back to having a coach that connects with those kids, that they know that coach going to take care of me when I'm there.
Question. We're talking about how you build up middle school and then high school. Some of the football players fall off. If they don't do basketball, they're not doing anything. I know some coaches, it's a way of conditioning, take their football players and let them run track in the springtime. Does anybody thought about taking some of them players and have them be on a track team? There's plenty of room for them, and we'd love to have black athletes on the track teams as well.
Yeah, and that's happening down there. A lot of the football players do track, but then there's some kids that just run track that don't get pushed into football. Or there's some kids that just do basketball that don't get pushed into football. Or there's some kids that play football that the football coach will push into baseball and then they'll never come back out for football. And so when you're talking about sharing kids like that, that has to be a mission for all the coaches within the building. And when it's a mission for all the coaches in the building, now in a small town like that, you take a few of them kids that's great at basketball and you put them in football, and a few of those kids that are just track guys and you put them into football, now you have a great program. And back in the day, Sikeston had that. Just back in 2011, they had a 13-1 team, that ended up going to the semifinals. And sure enough, the stars of the football team were the stars of the basketball team, right? This past year, they had a basketball player signed to play at a smaller school that probably would have been an incredible football player, and he never played. Another guy that played for Smoooth, Fred Thatch, stud,
Sikeston,
from Sikeston. He should have been one of the best receivers in the state, but never touched the football.
I mean, and dude is big as hell too.
We have to. Yeah. We have to promote that. From like all sports need to promote our kids being multi-sport, and adults have to stop being selfish and feeling like we own kids that are with us. And back in the day, man, you just did what you enjoyed to do, and nobody tried to push you one way or the other. They wanted you to participate and be active.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a few comments. Shouts out to Bunny's sister, Suzanne. Pioneer herself, the first woman in the PHL as a coach and on the football team. So shouts out to her. Look at Bunny. Just cheat. Bunny, go ahead and say what you said about your sister earlier about the Fast and the Furious.
She knows. She knows she's NASCAR driver and I'm NASCAR junior. She already knows.
But yeah, she was saying.
Hey, people gotta buckle up with me. They buckle up with her too, and then some. Like I said, we get y'all there safe. We graduated from Stanley Goodwin's driving school. She was magna cum laude, and I'm summa cum laude. So what can I say?
And I'm like,
that's my daddy, Stanley Goodwin.
You said magna, you said Sue. I'm like, I ain't doing neither. But anyway, she says, she said, that's why I push for my athletes to try other sports. Your talent may not be for the sport you are wanting. And then she was just agreeing with what you were saying earlier, man. So definitely some great points. And this has been a great conversation in regards to getting to know you, Coach. My last question in regards to just you, what does hashtag keep working mean to you?
It means that when you fall, man, when you have success, whether you're not getting too high, not getting too low, understanding that whether you at the top and you just got it done and won a state championship, or whether you at the very bottom and you just trying to, cut your teeth into the game, you have to keep working, because if you at the top, you got a bunch of guys that's coming for you, that's gunning for you, and a target on your back. And so if you start working at that point, somebody gonna pass you up. And if you at the bottom, how you ever gonna get to the top if you're not working? And so for me, it's just to remind me to not get too high and not get too low, and where I'm at, and understand what got me to where I was work, and to continue to do it.
All right. And then Suzanne also says she grabbed and pushed for her football team to do track and field. She has one of her linemen going to sectionals in shot put this Saturday. So that's dope. So congratulations on that. It's very important.
Players, but you made a good point. Based on what she told Coach Good, when Suzanne, whatever you call it, when she told me, they said the athletic department, everybody's on the same page. So,
right.
Of course, since she's assistant football coach, you know how to get some football players. Y'all gonna do track, and I was track coach, so y'all already know me. Let's go. She don't play.
Yeah.
So crazy. But also the basketball play. I can say the Vashon coaches from girls basketball, boys basketball, track. A lot of them, they are working together. Instead of working against, work with. That's how you guys become powerful, and your school is well represented. And then of course the athletic director, because that's definitely the person that helps move all these pieces together, on the same page. So
absolutely. Now, if you're a Power 5 person in whatever sport you in, I'm okay with you staying with that sport and not leaving. If you got Coach K at the game, or Coach Self, or John Calipari, and you a basketball player, then obviously that's for you. But if you playing center and you 6'3" at your school, then you need to be playing football and stop playing.
Stop playing.
Then that's real. 6'3" center.
I don't even think you can be 6'3" middle school anymore, the center, man. These kids are tall by the time they 12. Jeez. What are you fooling, too? They have guard skills together at 6'3". Maybe nobody's postman.
And
I
Bunny,
digress.
Suzanne
says, for that information, Coach. Appreciate it.
Suzanne says, don't be hating on my fast and furious driving skills.
You get them there. I'm telling you, she'll get you there. It may be some bobbing and weaving through traffic, but she'll get you there.
Bob and weave. Hey.
Okay, I'm telling you, if you talking about finding a female assistant for your staff, Suzanne, chime in. How did you get recruited to be the assistant football coach? I forgot how she even got there. I know it's crazy, right? She's like been different coaches. She's coached tennis. She's coached track, probably even cross country. I think the only one she hasn't done is volleyball, basketball. But she's done so many sports, so I don't know how football came to the fold. I forgot. And then she's assistant athletic director. So she's making her moves, and I'm like, man, you were almost there. When I say almost there, like for the next step she want to do in her career, I'm just trying to find the right person, connection, get with them, and it will happen. Because it's just so much potential. And, that was how last year, with the George Floyd protest, a lot of people were acting black folks that fell out the sky when we became relevant. And so now you see this with major sports, as far as using women, not just as the referees, but, when the Marlins hired the GM, I forgot her name, as GM. And then now you just heard about the Minnesota Vikings just hired a personal assistant to GM, got her name as well.
Yep, congrats.
It's still a big way to go, but it's like finally y'all giving women an opportunity. I'm just waiting for the head coach for the NBA because, Pop was vouching for, what's her name? His assistant, vouching for her to get a head coaching position. Yep. And I'll see that happen in the next 2 or 3 years, but it's still a long way to go. But I'm just happy that we're making strides. Oh, I also noticed on analysts for NBA, MLB, NHL, you get at least one woman every room. That's big because I always watch the sports, hear the commentate because I love it, and I'm like, man, get a woman in there. Sometimes not the perspective, that the voice sounds different.
Yeah. Just from having two daughters, I love the way that it's moving, and I hope that it continues. And eventually, how cool would it be to have an offensive or defensive coordinator in football that's a woman? You know, how cool would that be? So that's something that I look at for my girls, just having, you know, somebody to look to and look up to in the game.
Whoever it is out there, I'm rooting for you. Trust me, I'm behind you. Nothing else. I promote you and I hashtag you. Do anything else I can from this little spot I have on YouTube and Facebook. But overall, we know Marv Albert is about to retire after he wraps up the Eastern Conference Finals. There's another broadcasting spot available. Of course, they got a couple of guys in the wings already.
Kevin Harlan, take his spot. Kevin Harlan needs to be the guy on TNT. He needs to be the voice of the NBA from now on TNT. I've been waiting for years for. I ain't trying to be disrespectful because Marv Albert is a legend, but Kevin Harlan, y'all know that man is different when it comes to broadcasting basketball games, being the play-by-play announcer. The dude is different, and he needs to go ahead and take that position if he wants it, and be the guy on TNT. It's his time. You know, shoot. If I had the opportunity to do it, he'll be the guy on CBS, or I'll pay him to be the guy on ESPN or whatever, because that dude just makes the game that much better when he's doing play-by-play. So this is the perfect opportunity for Kevin Harlan to do his thing. And before I continue on with basketball, real quick, I wanted to go ahead and show everyone the schedule for Lutheran North. I have it on the screen, so it'll be showing on y'all screens very soon. First game, I just said before, Coach, St. Mary's. Then you have East St. Louis. At East St. Louis playing against Peoria. Then at St. Thomas Aquinas in Kansas City. No, I'm sorry, is that Kansas? Excuse me.
Kansas.
Then
you playing at Westminster. Now that's Coach Butler Banote's team, ain't it? At Westminster.
Yeah.
Shouts out to him. Then you playing Lutheran South, then MICDS, Bishop, is that McGee or
Miege.
Okay, Miege.
Bishop Miege.
All right, and then we have at Sodan. So a nice power pack schedule for Lutheran North. We are looking forward to seeing your team do some incredible things in year one of hopefully, many years of success for Lutheran North. Bunny, Suzanne did say earlier, exactly the only way for your athletic programs to thrive. I agree that your coaches need to be on all the same page. That's what Real Franklin and I are working on at the V, turning our program around. Then she says that Butler Banote pulled me into being his assistant football coach because the way I was handling the track program at Sumner. And she has coached girls tennis, girls basketball, girls boys track and field. And Suzanne, we need to get you on ladies' night in 2 weeks. So if you are available, we already know you won the business in the working women in the game. But if you are available in 2 weeks for ladies' night, let us know so we can go ahead and get you on. That'll be good to have both of y'all, Bunny and Suzanne, to be on the show for ladies' night. Before we go ahead and leave, Coach, once again, this has been great getting to know your story, why you chose Lutheran North, what happened, what transpired from being at Ritenour to going to Sikeston to going to Lutheran North. I do want to go over, before we leave, the NBA playoffs. There has been some updates going on here. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong slide here. Let's go ahead and show this one here. There we go. So it has been slightly updated with the Grizzlies beating the Spurs tonight. So they are waiting on the loser of the Lakers and Warriors game, in which right now Golden State is up 38-30 over the Lakers. In the East, yesterday the Pacers beat the Hornets, and you had the the Chaminade game, St. Louis game, Boston Celtics and the Washington Wizards, and Boston won. So that means tomorrow, Pacers and the Wizards will play, while Boston is automatically in the playoffs because they were the 7th seed, so they be playing the Brooklyn Nets. The other matchups in the East, you have 3rd seed Bucks facing the 6th seed Miami Heat. 4th seed New York Knicks versus number 5 seed Atlanta Hawks. That should be an exciting series. Then the number 1 seed is the 76ers as they await the winner of the Pacers and the Wizards. And on the West, the Jazz will be waiting on the winner of the Grizzlies and the loser of the Lakers and Golden State game. 4th seed, the Clippers facing off against the 5th seed Mavericks. Remember last year, great series between those two teams in the bubble. The Clippers barely edged them off. They almost got upset by the Mavericks. Then 3rd seed Nuggets and the Blazers, who are the 6th seed. That should be an incredible series right there. And then the Phoenix Suns await the winner of Golden State and LA. So incredible time. I'm liking this new playoff format, the play-in games. Coach, what are your thoughts on this new playoff format?
Man, I think it's cool that we get a matchup like LeBron and Steph, first round.
No, call it the pre-playoffs.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to me because I grew up with it just being the normal playoffs, and if you don't get in, then you don't get in, and the 8th is in, they play. So I'm siding with LeBron on this one, man. I think it's no point.
Ooh. Coach. Okay. I got like 30 seconds.
Yes, tell it to me.
Bubble. This is when it started, when they had to do this little playoff thing because, season got condensed. But when they saw the potential of it, everything about money first. But number 2, you build up more excitement, you get a little more teams involved. And so we still get the chance to see some stars play that normally probably wouldn't be playing in the playoffs. Not LeBron, but nobody thought Curry and the Warriors could even have a potential being in the playoffs. At the beginning of the season, when we knew Clay was out, we was like, oh, they ain't going to the playoffs because they ain't going to be 500. You got an extra day to steal. I'm just saying. And the other 2 teams in the West, yeah. But the Warriors, they excited. They entertained. And to add it, it's the Lakers. The Lakers going to be sad if the Lakers don't get out of this because that's too much money. The Lakers fan base, there's a lot of money. They're going to lose out. But to see the other stars play, they usually wouldn't. And the fact that you're getting a pre-playoff in, kind of, we out here for the playoff for NBA. It's what we really want to see.
Yeah, but my thing is this. Is that team, are the Warriors going to win it all?
No.
What's the...
But it's going to get good competition. That's what we want to see. And you know what? We were talking about football earlier. You said how you run your sequence and people kind of steal ideas from, y'all reuse ideas from other places. You don't make adjustments until the second half if they're going to catch on right away. Basketball, we have game after game to make adjustments. It's not just on one game. So aside from the playing, we're going to see some good competition. This is what we're about. The same coach. Come on. Give it a try, coach. Give it a try.
Hey, I'm okay with it if the Lakers win.
So,
hey, I just want to see the Clippers choke again because they're funny. They choke. I want to see them choke again.
So, very last topic, Coach. I know you were looking forward to it, and we had to discuss it. Bunny, I sent this to you a few days ago, to you and Stan, and it continues to get more and more interesting as the days go by. And that's Kwame Brown, and the guys from All the Smoke podcast with Stephen Jackson and Matt Barnes. What all started was their last podcast show. Kwame Brown was pretty much the butt of a joke. How they saying he's a bust, he's a scrub, and a whole
one or a few?
You said what?
Was it just one joke or a few jokes?
Oh, hey, to Kwame Brown, it was one too many. So, so
okay,
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking this.
They've been on him for a long time.
That's what I say. It's not just one joke, because one joke don't do that. How Shaq and JaVale McGee used to get into it, because he had numerous jokes. That's what that was. It was still fun, but keep going.
Yeah, so pretty much Kwame Brown got on his social media, and when I say this dude was roasting, I mean he let them have it. I mean he was calling them N-words.
I'm about to say he was below the belt on a couple of them.
He was talking to them like they were like he was a slave owner. Like, boy, you know what I'm saying? And I mean he was really just he didn't hold anything back. He was showing some down south country slang, and like you said, low blow, talking about family, talking about the whole Derek Fisher situation and how Steven Jackson was buying. Steven Jackson was buying, was getting strippers and whatever, trying to expose everything. Then he also said a few points in regards to they're using the platform to talk about black people because white people don't do that often. You don't go to a white show or whatever, and you don't hear them going off on a black guy, but then you have this kind of podcast. Well, not this one, but a podcast like theirs in which they put more of a spotlight and they make fun of and et cetera. Even back in the day, Stephen A. Smith on First Take, he would call Kwame a scrub and a whole nine. So it's like Kwame really got in his feelings that y'all got this opportunity, y'all have this platform where millions of people are watching, and the only thing y'all want to do is down another guy who is happy. He's not depressed. He's made his money. And like you said, it's been 20 years since he's been playing the game. He knows that he wasn't the guy that everyone thought he would be, but he's not the one out here in social media just doing random stuff, doing crazy things, but his name is still being brought up, and he's pretty much tired of it. So, Coach, I'll let you go ahead and have the floor. What are your thoughts on how this whole situation is being handled? Is Kwame right? Is he tripping? Is he spazzing too much? What are your thoughts on this?
First off, I think he got them hands because Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson normally would turn up on somebody. So that's the first thing I want to establish is that Kwame Brown got them hands. They don't want no smoke with Kwame Brown. As far as whether he's right or wrong, I think that he has a point with them going on and using their platform and their voice to tear down other black men. I don't think that you use that platform for that. But he also was one of the biggest flops in the game. And so when that happens and you get paid a certain amount to be a certain type of player, what's going to happen is you're going to remain the butt of jokes for a long time. For me, like, I don't understand why Kwame Brown was ever a topic on their show. Why are they using it to talk about him with everything else that's going on right now? So I think that he's kind of warranted in the way that he feels, but I also think he was just fed up with hearing it so much, and then he's now taking it and he's going at everybody. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that he's kind of overdone it as well. But I think they both kind of had their points. But what he said about not tearing our own down, man, we have to be conscious of that because we have enough of that going on everywhere else to not have it all going on when we're on the air. So even this show, man, I enjoyed the way that you've gone about all of this. Because you could have took a different angle and been goofy, about the way that we handled it. And you came in and you were like, here, you got the floor. I want you to say what you got to say. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I think we got to be conscious of how we handle our power, our stand power, and our social media power.
The Bunny, you had the
Can I
last
ask a
word.
quick question, Coach? I know we're over time. My question is, when it comes to podcasts, it's thousands of them out there on a big platform and a small one. So you know how we said freedom of speech is kind of a fine line. So if they wanted to do a podcast strictly roasting people, whomever it could be, like you said, they got a big platform. Everybody knows Jackson and Barnes. Do they have to silence them roasting people, or should they just rename it to where it's going to be a podcast strictly on roasting people? Would y'all perceive it differently?
I think that if they're gonna roast people and that's what it's gonna be about, then you do that for everybody. Like roast everybody. Now I haven't watched the show enough to say whether they do that or not. Like maybe they do roast everybody and he just in his feelings, right? But if they're not on there and they not equally roasting, athletes, and not just athletes, but athletes of a different, race, if we just on there roasting our own, that's not right for me. Like that don't sit well with me. But if you roasting everybody and that's what the show about, then I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? But we can't just say that we gonna tear down this one guy or we gonna tear down this one particular group of people and make it like we just having fun and it's just a regular roast session. And so from that perspective, I understand what he was saying about not tearing guys down. But at the same time, you got to have thick skin whenever you are out in the limelight and the spotlight, because people just gonna do that. That's how it works. People gonna say how they feel. So again, it's their podcast and they get to judge what they talking about. But at the end of the day, if they gonna say something, now they gotta see Kwame Brown. Like you gotta back up if you felt that way about him and now he feels a certain type of way. It's okay that you said it, but you got to be able to handle the repercussions of what you said as well. Now he want to fight.
Yep.
Grown men should be fighting. You know that now. Come on. This is girly stuff. Us girls should be kicking back and forth. Dude, y'all should be crazy. Come on now.
Yeah, I agree. But sometimes men, like even as men, you just close the door and y'all get it over with and then you keep moving.
True. Because with women, we going to carry a grudge. Man.
See, y'all 85 years old.
It could be some soul simple, and it'd be 5 years later.
No, buddy, not 5 years, 85 years.
Everybody doesn't have them that long. Sometimes it is just 5 years. I bet your wife she may not be like this, but she could say some people were like, oh, they was just getting into it for a couple of years, they good now. Another one she may hear like, oh yeah, they beating still 10 years later. So it just depends.
Yeah, Kwame wilding out a little bit, man, but he got them hands. So he letting everybody know right now that they really don't want no issues with him.
Right.
But Coach K does. To take away back to early 2000s, Pacers, Pistons, at the Ron Artest in the stands, who else went with him though?
Steven Jackson.
You don't think he could throw them hands out? That
was Steven Jackson when he was in his prime. He ain't in his prime no more.
I'd have heard personal stories from people that have been out with Kwame that seen what Kwame can do. Don't none of them want none of Kwame. You can tell by the way that they responded. Like it's not their normal actions. The way that Matt Barnes is responding, he don't respond like that to other people. He turns up immediately.
Right.
We've seen it. Steven Jackson, he's a hothead. He turns up immediately. When Kwame just was calling them boys and talking about their wife.
Right.
And they trying to be diplomatic still.
Yep.
They don't want none of Kwame.
Yep. But with that being said, that is our show for the evening. It has been another incredible show right here on the platform, Sports Talk Show. Coach, once again, thanks for taking out time. I know it's been hella crazy for you, but we definitely appreciate you being on the show.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Welcome back to the Hustle City. Ain't no hustle without the STL.
Yeah,
it is. Ain't no hustle. Bunny, once again, thank you. For those watching for the first time, we hope that you tune in every week. Every Wednesday goes down. As you see on your screen, like, follow us, go on YouTube, subscribe, click on that.
Good old-fashioned bell.
There we go, because anytime we go live,
You too, Coach K, will be notified.
there we go.
Yes, sir.
Spread the word about the platform sports talk show, because we trying to be like all the smoke. Now, we ain't trying to get the smoke like that though. But we trying to get big time and get even more notice out there.
Some of that smoke. That's what Kwame Brown said.
Yeah.
Kwame Brown said they only want some of that smoke. They don't want all that smoke.
Right. But yeah, so help us. Keep on sharing, spread the word. Let them know about what we got going on here. If you know someone who needs to have their story be told, get at us. Our information is on the bottom of the screen, the email. So holla at us and let's make it happen. With that being said, I am your boy Smoooth.
Along with your girl Bunny and Sasha.
Shouts out to Stan. He'll be back next week. And our special guest,
the Coach K Dub.
There we go, Coach. Stay on the Zoom after we end this stream. When it's about sports,
you know what? It becomes our business.
And business continues.
No, Sasha, what about the business? Did it pick up?
Continues to pick up. We out, y'all.